A lot of times I know what I want to say, but I don't know what kind of intro you guys want. I don't know. Like, do you want the little life anecdote thing that I can say, or do you want me to just, the classic like jump right into it, or do I give the like, hey, my name is Brian, and do the reintroduction thing because still like 40% of everyone watching is new and hasn't subscribed yet? What do you want? What do you want? Holiday vibes are high. It was a classic like pre-Thanksgiving Costco weekend for us, buying a bunch of stuff for Christmas parties, for Thanksgiving, for like 3 Christmas parties. The week after Thanksgiving, we've got 3 Christmas parties back to back to back, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm really pumped about that. Planned out all my outfits, planned out my toast. And in the midst of all of that, I have strategy pilled myself for the first time. I'm officially switching from neutral to positive on MicroStrategy, on strategy. And here's why. And to put my money where my mouth is on that, made a very small buy inside our Roth IRA. And I'll get into why it was in our Roth IRA. But here's what it is. I am philosophically motivated that Bitcoin is good for the world, right? So I have a philosophical motivation for being a Bitcoin-focused investor. But then as you get into being a Bitcoin-focused investor, what's exciting about the time that we're watching right now is the entire yield curve of Bitcoin is being built out. You can now get whatever you want for whatever your objective are, for wherever you are in life now from a Bitcoin structured product, okay? And that's why, that's exciting. That's extremely exciting. And that has led me to want to participate in strategy common stock MSTR, okay? So quickly though, what is it? What do I even mean by saying you can now get whatever you want out of Bitcoin? Bitcoin forever has just been a hyper growth, hyper volatile asset, right? But then classically, so who does that attract? That attracts young people. It attracts guys. It attracts like people that are just constantly on the internet, and that like there's one certain demographic of like who invests in Bitcoin in a lot of people's heads. Okay. And so the people had a lot of blockers on that wouldn't fit different people. A classic retiree, scrolling dividend stocks here on YouTube would be like, oh, Bitcoin doesn't work for me because it's too volatile. I'm a retiree, with trying to make monthly income to combine with Social Security, and Bitcoin doesn't work for me because I don't need aggressive growth like that. And what would happen is, a lot of times, again, then the Bitcoin advocates on the internet wouldn't really have a great answer to that other than, well, you're dumb. And so we're scaling and growing up past that. All right. And so now specifically, anyone can listen. I love that anyone listens, but I want to just continue to hammer down on this niche because I want people to hear it. Like, I'm specifically talking to 35 to 55-year-olds, with kids in the suburbs. That's who I'm talking to. You can be outside that bucket. It's not to be exclusive or whatever. It's just like really trying to deliver custom Bitcoin thinking specifically for that group of people. Okay. And so way early on, I was on a Marty Bett episode back in a long time ago. I don't know what the year was. I think it was either 2019 or 2020. And I talked about different buckets for different things. And now 5 more years of that and growing up and getting more houses and getting more kids and getting more complicated and going through jobs, in and out of jobs. Like I've really started to refine this like different buckets for different things kind of thing. All right. And so describe that real fast, and I'll talk about where MicroStrategy, common stock fits in. And so you have your core long-term Bitcoin. You have your core long-term Bitcoin on chain in Bitcoin, right? And then you can talk about how much to hold in self-custody versus how much to hold on an exchange. Over the years, you get passionate about self-custody, but then as the asset really grows and as your family situation gets more complicated and as you want to kind of have a more streamlined, approach and do estate planning and whatever, like exchanges have to be secure. exchanges have to be secure in order for Bitcoin to work in the United States. And so I have zero heartache about holding Bitcoin on an exchange now. I personally love Fidelity. I love that Fidelity has on-chain crypto accounts. I love that they can hold on-chain Bitcoin. Call them and ask if they haven't in your state yet. They're building out state by state. And I love that then I can look at a consolidated financial statement of all the different buckets, okay? So on-chain Bitcoin is one bucket. Then the other buckets are the classic like Roth IRA and traditional IRA. Roth IRA and traditional IRA, Bitcoin ETF works perfect for this. I understand that a lot of places have the on-chain, IRAs and stuff like that, and that's fine and cool. Honestly, again, Fidelity does have on-chain IRAs now too. I think there's a lot of benefits that come with the ETF, and I have no heartache about having the ETF in your Roth IRA or your traditional IRA. Personally, we've cashed out all of our traditional IRAs, and we're going fully exclusively Roth. And so every year we just do one backdoor conversion in my Roth IRA, one backdoor conversion in my wife's IRA, and that's actually where I took my first position in MSTR common stock was in our Roth IRA. Okay, and so because MSTR on the yield curve now, MSTR is more volatile and has higher upside than Bitcoin. At least that's the thesis. And that's the part that I'm still like, that's the thesis. And I think it makes sense now. I think that makes sense now. Especially with their just new focus of like how to do the preferred stocks and how to raise capital and then buy Bitcoin. I also think it makes sense now because being a Bitcoin treasury company in and of itself is not going to lead to massive growth for like multiple companies. I do think now, like because strategy is so far ahead, there is like a very unique moat on what they're going to be able to do. I hadn't previously thought that. I've previously come to believe this. I've really listened to their third quarter earnings call, and I've just listened to interviews with Fong, the CEO, and the recent things it's just been very encouraging. And the other thing that has really gotten me over this hump is that Fong and Michael Saylor are both very philosophically motivated. And you can hear it coming through in their words. And there was a period of time where I feel like Saylor let some of that go and it wasn't coming through in every interview. And that's when I kind of like paused and stepped back and kind of became a little more neutral on it. But when you really listen in, like his answer in the third quarter earnings call where he was like, I don't just want to make a really good Bitcoin trade. Like it's not about that. Like I want to help 1 billion people retire comfortably. And he talked about how they're like stripping the volatility out and creating these preferreds that can pay people, consistent monthly income. And I was like, that's awesome. No, that's cool and interesting. Like that really is like Bitcoin beating fiat money. And that is Bitcoin transforming, transforming the way the financial system works. And so that's awesome and exciting. And so it also logically follows the framing of them trying to be the largest corporate treasury in the United States, not even Bitcoin treasury, like corporate treasury period, and the way they're comparing themselves to the Mag 7 and then Berkshire Hathaway on top. It does logically follow that in a world where Bitcoin is 10x, 100x bigger than it is right now, it does logically follow that Saylor will be the next Warren Buffett and strategy will be the next Berkshire Hathaway. That makes sense. That completely makes sense. And then because Bitcoin investing is the new value investing, like Bitcoin is the index fund of the free market in the world. And so like Saylor being so laser focused on like, we are focused on Bitcoin. We're focused on our Bitcoin return. We're focused on, if we're focused on matching up people that need USD based yield and people that want Bitcoin based growth. And he's just cross selling both those people in the most efficient way possible. Because me watching, we have both. Like I have a need for both. I have a need for USD based cash flow and I have a need for Bitcoin based growth. And so he understands that better than anyone. And because the Bitcoin story isn't going away, because the fiat money like increasing in supply isn't going away, it does logically follow that strategy will be the next Berkshire Hathaway. And so it's cool to think about today in 2025 buying 20 shares of MicroStrategy common stock and being like, that is going to be here's the vision. How Peyton Manning goes on football every Sunday and is like, let me tell you about Nationwide. We're not just an insurance company, we're a financial services company. And then just like there's a large conglomerate financial services company. Like that's strategy, okay? And again, is it a financial company? Is it a technology company? Like that's what they were just arguing about what their inclusion in NASDAQ or whatever. I'm not specifically talking about getting in the weeds of like that designation or whatever. I'm just saying that where strategy is going is it's going to be the like IBM, the Nationwide, just these classic large names that you just see commercials about. And people equate it with like, oh, retirement, oh, like mainstream America, like whatever. Like that's where Bitcoin's going. Okay. That's where Bitcoin is going. And now you have the choice on how to participate in that now as America moves towards that future. You no longer just have to buy Bitcoin and eat the volatility on the face. You don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to do that. You can look, I'm going to like look at this risk curve, okay? Here's the risk curve, and it goes all the way from STRC, stretch, all the way up to MicroStrategy common stock. And that entire curve has different levels of volatility and different levels of USD income attached to it, okay? And so everything is a hybrid of USD income and Bitcoin growth. And so there's no need, like that's why Bitcoin is the new S&P 500. Bitcoin is the new index, okay? And you can pull off different combinations of USD cash flow and Bitcoin growth to create whatever your personal goal is at this point in your life. That's the large breakthrough. That's the big main breakthrough. And so now when prices have like reset down to this level, it's your choice, and it's a great opportunity of kind of reevaluating what are you trying to build right now? USD income or Bitcoin growth? Like which one are you trying to build, and where on the spectrum are you buying that? And then in what buckets are you buying it? I'm actually really thankful that I was too busy and neutral on strategy for, the last year, last 2 years, last 3 years, because the focus on just Bitcoin itself for all that time gave me a great entry point, today. And I'm also thankful that we started diving into BTCI and Stretch when Bitcoin was at 112,000, and we've been buying BTCI on the way down. Because BTCI, a Bitcoin covered call fund, again, combining USD-based cash flow with some Bitcoin-based growth, outperforms spot Bitcoin during times of price going down. So that feels good. That feels good. And so that's what, this is the most prepared I've ever been for a Bitcoin downturn. And it's the most prepared I've ever been for, Bitcoin recovering to new all-time highs. And so that's why I took so I'm now positive on strategy. I think it's very exciting. I think what they're doing with the preferred stocks is very exciting. I love seeing kind of traditional focused dividend investors crossing over and talking about Bitcoin now. I love seeing the FIRE movement people on YouTube coming over and talking about Bitcoin now. I love seeing kind of Bitcoin people being forced to explain the entire yield curve and being forced to have more intelligent answers when someone is like, well, the volatility kind of sucks. Because you're right, the volatility does kind of suck. You're right. You're absolutely right. And so now you can blend it in any way you want. And I love the idea of the competitiveness of wanting to see strategy knock off Berkshire Hathaway is also very, very exciting. And I didn't realize that it was 50-60% off its in a 1 year high. And so that feels really awesome. And I'm excited to just watch them continue to build and grow. And so if you made it all the way to the end, I think you would really enjoy being a part of the Bitcoin personal finance think tank. You can click the join button right next to the subscribe button. It's a few bucks a month. You can cancel anytime. Okay. You can cancel anytime. The goal of this is for people to connect that want to mature and grow the way they're incorporating Bitcoin into their personal finances. If you want to talk deeper about this Bitcoin yield curve, this Bitcoin risk curve, and you want to understand what you should be doing in different buckets, there's lots of people inside the Discord group chat now that are talking about that every single day and learning how to do that, for themselves. So we've got real estate people in there, we've got business owners in there, we've got, people that have been in Bitcoin for a while, not been in Bitcoin for a while, okay? And so that's what it's all about. And so appreciate you watching. We'll see you in there.